Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain to you why I will never live in another college dorm. I think it's best if I start off with a room tour, so I'm just going to start off with the view I get. So honestly, I'd consider myself pretty lucky considering I got the hillside of my college. So it is nice to see this little view, especially when the sun sets and rises. It can be pretty cool. Now the one thing that bothers me here is that road right there is one of the entrances to the college, and you could probably assume when cars are heading up there with their blinds on, it can be a little annoying. This is why I recommend every college student to invest in some sort of sleeping mask. Now moving on, I'm just going to show you guys what my dresser looks like with some supplies on there. And then obviously you got my bed, and then I have my desk. Now this desk I personally brought in and built, which is really nice because it just gives me more room, especially since I'm making content every day. Now I got some drawers there with my snacks and other supplies, and I know it looks kind of messy, but that's just because I have so much stuff. And I even have some cooking supplies up there, which I'll get into more later. And yes, I do have a roommate. That is his side, which I'm not going to show for privacy reasons. But yeah, now I'm going to go into why I will probably never want to do this again. Now I really don't want to sound ungrateful in this video because I know that this roof is a blessing to me, but me personally, I was never really excited about living in a communal area. And the reason for that is mainly because I do content creation. So one of the main conflicts I had while making content in this room is obviously the background noises. This room is not soundproof whatsoever, so you can hear sounds coming out and in through that door and through the walls. And you can't forget that I also have a roommate who also shares this room with me, and I'm obviously not going to make content while he's in here. And in terms of my roommate, I'd say we're very chill, and I'm very lucky to have him as a random roommate. But for some of you out there, you are probably already going to have a roommate in mind. So if you have that, that's great. But honestly, if you're doing a random roommate, just hope you get lucky. Now some more information about living in a shared space is probably the bathrooms. I'll put a video on the screen of what my bathroom looks like, and keep in mind there's 2 of these on 1 floor, so it is pretty nice. In fact, most of the time when I'm going in there, there's either 1 or 0 people while I use it. And again, I'd consider myself lucky because the showers we have do have pretty good space, but at the same time, it's nothing like showering in your own home. Now, I'd say the biggest component for me while living in not only a college dorm, but just going to college in general, is you are no longer going to have your own private pooping space. And I'm sure 99% of you watching this like to poop alone. Now, another reason I consider myself lucky in this dorm is because it's honestly pretty clean. I've been to other schools' bathrooms, and compared to my girlfriend's university, when I go in their bathrooms, it is nasty, as well as they just don't have paper towels. But call me a germaphobe, I'm just not trying to get sick. And my number 1 tip for those of you living in a college dorm is bring shower slippers. You will not want to go in that bathroom barefoot. It just grosses me out thinking of it. Now another thing I want to talk about is your meals. Most of you, if you're living on a residential campus, they're gonna have meal swipes for you or just a meal plan. And whether you like to cook or not, you are most likely gonna be eating from the cafe instead of cooking on your own. Not only because, well, 1, you paid for the meal plan, so you might as well use it, but also because cooking in the dorm kitchens are not it. Now it could be because our kitchen looks like it hasn't been renovated since the 1960s, or it's just because I don't have as much materials as I do at home to cook. And most of you watching becoming upcoming college freshmen, you're probably not going to have a car to go to get food. Now, I never really had a problem with the upstairs neighbor being the typical upstairs neighbor, but I have had a problem where I would hear people in the hallways chatting and yapping about on the top of their lungs. Because like I said earlier, these rooms are not soundproof, so when I'm trying to sleep, I do occasionally hear people yapping. I like to go to sleep at around 8 to 9 p.m. and our quiet hours are until 11 p.m. So most of the kids here are staying up pretty late, and it can be hard to fall asleep. And one thing I forgot to mention is my room doesn't have air conditioning. And so far, ever since winter, it has been pretty solid weather. And when I mean solid, I mean pretty chilly. So if it does get hot in here, we can just crack open a window. But during the winter, we obviously have a heater we can use, and that worked pretty well. Now, depending on where you're going to college, most warm states will most likely have air conditioning. but if not, just bring a fan. You're gonna need a fan. And another thing most rooms come with are probably a fridge, freezer, and a microwave. Now me personally, I rarely use my microwave other than maybe popcorn or just warming up food, but the fridge is really nice touch, obviously, for your snacks or just to chill your drinks. And one final tip I have about sleeping is have white noise around, because white noise is literally gonna save you and your roommate from hearing each other snore. But guys, that is my overall opinion on living in dorms. I really hope you learned something out of this. Remember, this is my personal experience, and I am someone who makes a lot of content, so it's very important for me to be in a more spatial environment. This is why during my sophomore year, me and a friend have found a nice apartment that we are staying next year, and we will both get our own rooms, and this will be really nice because not only will I be able to cook for myself, but I'll be able to make my content more comfortably. So if you're willing to stick around for that, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.